So weirdly, Philip Rivers actually being pretty decent this season has kind of completely flown under the rug. I don't really know why. I think that's probably just because he, threw a couple bad interceptions against Jacksonville and they lost that game, so everyone assumed that he was terrible. Rivers has actually been pretty decent this year. He really has. The couple of picks were bad, but as a whole, I thought he's played pretty well. And he's doing some things I really like, and let's just get into it. One thing that I think we expected that is very fun to see is that, Rivers, he's a good quarterback against zone coverage, and with the Indianapolis Colts running game, you have to play a good amount of zone coverage, and so he can really thrive in this system. As part of why I said he could maybe be this year's Ryan Tannehill, just in the sense that he's getting into kind of a perfect fit system. And this is an example of it where it's going to be cover two. He has a receiver running a route that's going to get into a gap in coverage. So this is a good situation. And once this play starts, it's going to be a fake handoff, which, also helps move linebackers out of the way. And Rivers rolls out. And there is a player who's open who Rivers can make this throw to. Rivers is going to do a couple things on this play. One, you notice he's on the run, which is, I think, it's kind of fun. This is kind of what Rivers does. He's never been a perfect technical quarterback, and some of his throws will be a little bit funky. That's just kind of how he is. He definitely doesn't have to be on the move here. He could plant his feet and make the throw, but he also doesn't want to take a hit, so I get it. But he's going to make a throw, and because it's on the run, it's going to be a little bit low, but he still is able to make the completion. And there's a reason why I wanted to show this play at the start, because the fact that it's not a perfect play and it's still resulting in really easy completions is kind of my point, is that Rivers kind of had to be perfect last year for the Chargers, and now he doesn't. Now he has some room for error, a lot more room for error, in fact. And so that way, when he makes his less than perfect plays, they're not turning into interceptions. And so he still will have some interceptions because he's Philip Rivers, but there is some more room for error, and I think that's worth mentioning when talking about him for the Colts. I also like this play. It's man coverage this time. Has a receiver running a route. It's going to fake as though he's going to the inside and get to the outside. And this is one thing that I really like about Rivers, is watch how once this play starts, you notice how the second that the receiver is open right here, literally as quick as you can pause it to him being open, you look at Philip Rivers, the ball's in his already getting thrown. He's in the throwing motion at this point. He is ready to get rid of the ball the second that he sees that he has a player open. And it's just that, you say no hesitation. Well, he doesn't hesitate. He figures these things out quickly, sometimes to a detriment. Sometimes he'll make some aggressive throws that result in interceptions. One of his interceptions, I believe it was in the Indianapolis game, or excuse me, obviously in an Indianapolis game. In the Minnesota game, was because he made a throw like this and a defender made a good play. This time it's not going to be that. This time it's just an easy completion and a big gain. And the fact that he doesn't hesitate, it really does work out it does wonders for him, quite frankly. I mean, listen, no one's going to argue about the fact that it will occasionally backfire, right? Like, everyone knows Philip Rivers will throw interceptions. That's okay, because way more often than not, it's going to be a good thing. Like, watch, this next one's another example. It's man coverage. It is going to be a cover one robber, and you think that this receiver running a route over the middle shouldn't get open, but it actually is. Like, watch how it happens right when this play starts. Really well-ran route. New York player gets his head turned around. So now, again, the second that Indianapolis player is starting to cut, he's not open yet, but it's clear he's about to get open just because of how turned around the player who's covering him is. Rivers, again, he's in the throwing motion right now, and the safety who moved in a little bit over the middle of the field, he's not close enough in where he could make a play. So Rivers makes a quick throw, it's a completion, and they get the ball, decently down the field. And again, those quick decisions that he makes really do have a big benefit. And I especially think in this system, it's going to work out very well. Like, this next one's another good example. This is what I mean by him being a good zone coverage quarterback, where, again, going up against cover two zone, a receiver is going to run a route that should get into a gap in coverage. So this is a good situation on paper. That's something that he should look for. Again, you never know with zone. A lot of zone coverage is just simply how well does the defense read it. If a defensive player can read where a route is, they can clog up the gap in coverage, and you won't have a player open if you're Rivers. But what's going to be interesting here is watch Rivers on this one, and watch how he's going to kind of move at the last second and kind of throws at a weird angle where, the player gets open, but he sort of just moves a little bit and gives himself the best possible angle to make this throw, because again, that's part of zone coverage, is it's kind of an angles thing too. So throwing a bit sidearm and moving a little bit over, it made sense in that situation. And again, another one of those quick reaction time, quick getting rid of the ball quickly, where the second he could get rid of the ball, he did. And that really matters on a play like that, because the reality is that when a player gets open, they're not going to be open for too long in zone coverage. And man, you might have a little bit more time. In zone, someone's going to figure it out. And oftentimes it really is, for a quarterback, get the ball there just before the defense realizes what's going on. And it's these kind of things that make him so good in play action as well, right? Like, that's why he was one of the best play action quarterbacks in the league last year. And, Indianapolis, they like to run play action. So it makes sense that they went out and got him. Again, he can really beat up on zone coverage. He can be effective in man as well, but it's just a really good fit, I think, with the way they run the ball, and of course the way they protect him, where I think he definitely probably feels good about the fact that he's not taking 100 hits a game like he would with the Chargers. One more thing I wanted to talk about would be this play, where the way this play is going to work, it's a very simple concept. You're going to have multiple Indianapolis receivers run deep, the two on the top of the screen. They run deep. You simply just hit your halfback. You pick up some yards. Very basic, very simple, right? This is a boring play. Quarterback doesn't have to do much, but you know what? It's an effective play and can often work for some yards. Now, I want to be clear here. This is still a regular play. This isn't like a screen pass where no matter what, you're going to hit your halfback. This is just a play, but, one of the key ways it works is just hitting the halfback, who actually, I don't have it on the screen. He sort of fakes as though he's going to the bottom of the screen, then cuts up to the top of the screen, so it'll take a second. But, as you see, once this play starts, Rivers, he could make a throw deep right here. He could try to hit the sideline, and I guarantee you he wants to, right? Which, again, no one's going to kill him if he doesn't do this, but I do think that they don't want him to make this throw, especially when now it's in the second half. You're up 10 points already. The Jets can't get anything going on offense, so don't take any risk. The last thing you want is to throw an interception here. Potentially, even with a lot of room, there could be an interception for a big return that could allow the Jets back into this game. And so Rivers, he wants to throw it deep. He wants to, but I'm sure that Frank Reich told him, listen, on this situation, do not throw the ball deep unless it's something wide open. And so Rivers, he's going to do the smart thing here. He checks down to his halfback, who's able to pick up 6 yards. Again, that's not the game Rivers likes to play, but you know what? It's an effective game. And I think that this coaching staff has kind of rubbed off on Rivers a little bit. I've noticed a couple of subtle things like this where he's not always taking the shot. He still is. You can't get it out of him, but he will be a little bit more cautious here and there. And that's all you really need. You don't need Rivers to become, one of these check down guys. Like, he has no really value on being that guy. But just, check down a little bit more often, be a little bit more cautious. He has done a good job. I'm not trying to sit here and say Rivers is now Patrick Mahomes. I'm just trying to say that he's played really well through 3 games, and he deserves a lot of credit. And so far through 3 games, this signing has worked for the Colts. I think there's going to be an interesting test this upcoming week. He's playing Chicago. That's a good defense. So that'll be interesting to see how he does. Probably the best defense he's played. Actually, definitely the best defense he's played. Minnesota has no real corners. The Jets are the Jets, and the Jaguars are, I think they have a good offense. Their defense is suspect. So, again, Rivers, he's going to cost you a couple games by throwing some bad interceptions, but he's played well through 3 games. We'll see what he continues to do. But yeah, that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.